Say hi to the camera.
Hi, camera. Hello, I'm Brian Nefsky, and this is my take.
All right, let's go see Brian Nefsky at Walt Disney Imagineering.
Traffic lights. Turn right onto West Pico Boulevard, then turn left onto Cotton Avenue.
That's Kevin. He's the Australian voice. I'm trying him out this week. I am super excited for this interview. We've been trying for months. Busy schedules on both ends. But here I go. I'll be talking about what it's like to cast the voices that are in the parks.
People are fascinated by your job.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Take your word for that. Here, 1 second. Hello. Well, there's a fascination with the Disney theme parks anyway. Ooh, I can't remember to call. What's your name?
Who's that? Super secret who you have to remember to call?
No, are you recording this?
Yeah.
Well, then I'm not going to tell you.
Then it is
Somebody.
super secret.
Well, everything I do is sort of, I mean.
Let me ask you, Brian, what is your favorite project you ever cast?
Well, Paula, you see, my favorite one really is Haunted Mansion. We had to cast the bride in the attic, which I know people don't really love our bride, but I do. I love her. And I'm talking more about the on-camera. I mean, the voice was wonderful, but it was a chance. I actually do both on-camera and voiceover. I told you that. I think I really enjoy the on-camera a little bit more. I love voiceover, and I do mostly voiceover. If you look at my job, it would be 90 to 95% is voiceover, and maybe 10% on-camera. I like the on-camera a little bit more because I love meeting actors face-to-face. The only thing about voiceover that sometimes is, you don't meet the actor, so you don't have an opportunity to work with them and to see if you can get something beyond what they sent you. Whereas on camera, when I do on-camera casting, I meet them, we run over the script a couple of times, I can really get a feeling for who they are. Because the other thing about voiceover is, if I've never worked with you before, I have to kind of try to figure you out. Most actors are wonderful. There's a few people who have made questionable life choices, but most actors are wonderful. But when I meet them in person, it's generally for on-camera casting. It's fun for me when I cast something in the park and then I am there when people are enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's not fun for me when I cast something in the park and I read a nasty online trope about it. Yeah, I hate when people write mean things about actors online.
Yeah, I
really
find that's a terrible thing.
And I stop myself from wanting to respond, particularly on YouTube. One of the projects I worked on, I won't mention which one, but the actor who we cast got kind of rode over hard.
Oh, no.
And it was nothing that he did. As a matter of fact, he did exactly what we asked him to do. And from a creative standpoint, he was perfect for the role. It's just sometimes people who come to the parks, they have a different idea of what they think it is that we're going for. And if we don't hit it, sometimes they'll write really mean things. Years ago, one executive said to me, find me somebody iconic. But the thing is, once you're in the park for 10 or more years, you're iconic, whether you know it or not. I mean, there are generations who grew up listening to these voices who I meet. I meet people who, like I said, Bride's been there since 2006, so 13 years, right? So somebody who was 10 years old when we put her in basically grew up with that particular bride in the attraction. We just recently changed the auction scene in Pirates of the Caribbean. And we have recast and rethunk the redhead, so now she's more actively involved. She has a voice.
Hey, send them hints to Davy Jones. It's the rum they want. Drink up the arties.
And she's wonderful. The actress who we hired was phenomenal. Ray Griffin. She did a wonderful job. And love her. I know people didn't like the fact that we changed that because they were so,
Right.
they liked the slave auction part, because
Right.
that's so great. But we changed it out. And I know that it just happened a couple of years ago. So in 10 years, that'll be part of the furniture. It's amazing how people like personally have a very strong affection for the voices that we put in the park. But it's a really unique thing to be a voice in a Disney theme park. I mean, Tokyo, people know you, whether they know you or not. Because that voice of yours, you know, whatever, somebody told me something, I don't know what it is that you say, but there's something that you say that is like the line that they know something else is going to happen, and it's something that you say that triggers something else.
Oh.
And I don't know what it is.
Oh my gosh, figure it out. Let me know if you
yeah.
don't remember. I want to know.
Yeah. But somebody told me that. They said, oh yeah, when Paula says so-and-so, I know that this is going to happen.
The first time you called me in, you greeted me by saying, Paula Tiso, I feel like I know you. It's so nice to finally meet you. I've been listening to your auditions. And I just felt like so welcome.
Wow.
It was, yeah, truly.
Oh, I don't remember saying that at all.
You did say it. And not only that, now you help us park our cars. I mean, it's just like full service.
I mean, I'm sorry I didn't get out there quick. You were too fast. That's why I couldn't park your car today.
It's so
No,
funny.
you know what? I just find actors are so miserably treated so often.
Yes, sir. We've got everything we need to make life easier. Say, Mother.
The reason I was interested in voiceover is really because of Disneyland. When I was growing up, they had almost all audio shows back then. So like Carousel of Progress.
No more gas.
You know, it was just like audio. It was a audio animatronic figures, but it was a whole, wonderful group of actors who performed the voices. And then they had Adventures Through Inner
For
Space.
centuries, man had but his own two eyes to explore the wonders of his world. Then he invented the microscope, a mighty eye, and discovered the fantastic universe beyond the limits of his own meager sight.
Super low tech, but it had great voice. I mean, so Disney, even though I didn't think about it at the time, but Disney really gave me an appreciation for what acting, voice acting is really all about.
Right.
Because they had the best. They had Thurl Ravenscroft,
Bienvenidos about to socialize.
Jack Wagner.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Disneyland proudly presents our spectacular festival pageant of nighttime magic and imagination in thousands of sparkling lights and electro-synthomagnetic musical sounds. The Main Street Electrical
Freeze.
Ah, there you are. And just in time. There's a little matter I forgot to mention. You must beware of hitchhiking
The
haunts.
best work for Disney. There's no question about it. So that planted that seed, even though I did not grow up. I'll tell you one thing. I did not grow up wanting to work for this company at all. I mean, I didn't not want to work for it. I just didn't grow up thinking about it.
Right.
And it just kind of came. It was a happy accident.
Now, when you first started out, I would imagine that the stable of voice actors was smaller that you could cast from as opposed to now. Does it seem like there's more?
No.
It's like
It doesn't. And what happened over the years is I've developed a relationship with agents. There's probably about 10 agencies that I really work with. I need people who I know are going to give me reliable people, good people, who themselves are going to be easy to work with. I mean, I don't want to say the names of the agencies that I rely upon because, other people are going to hear this. How do you get on my radar? So I do teach voiceover classes occasionally, very occasionally. I used to do more. Now I don't do so much. But voiceover class is really the way that I can meet somebody who I'm not going to meet any other way. There are people who have cold called me, however.
To those of you who have just joined us, welcome aboard the Disneyland monorail. For your safety, we ask that you keep your hands and arms inside the cabin during our journey. Remain seated at all times.
The voice of the monorail is a good example.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Alex Verdi is, well, I do know him. Alex Verdi is the voice of the monorail. So Alex called me. I don't even know how he got my number, but when the gentleman who did the voice of the monorail for years passed away, Mark Dennis, he passed away suddenly. And we had to re-record all the monorail spiels anyway. So now, I'll talk over that. It's the way it is in here. It's more realistic. So when Mark passed away, we had to recast the monorail. And for whatever reason, out of nowhere, I got a call from Alex. I don't think Alex knew that, by the way. He just cold called me.
Wow.
And and to this day, I've never checked with him to see how he did that. But he was being entrepreneurial, and he called me. And somehow or another, he got a demo to me. And I didn't even think we auditioned anybody besides. I think we just picked him based upon.
Wow.
It was literally the right place at the right time. What I do is all of the English language voice casting definitely for our domestic parks. So that's Disneyland and Disney World. And Disneyland being 2 parks, Disneyland, Disney California Adventure. Florida being 4 parks, which is Epcot, Magic Kingdom, Disney Studios, and Animal Kingdom, plus whatever goes into the general Walt Disney World area. And then I do the English language casting for Paris, 2 parks in Paris, the 2 parks in Tokyo, and the park in Shanghai. Oh, and Hong Kong. Sorry, I forgot Hong Kong. So it's literally, there's 12 parks around the world that I do casting for in English. We have a group that does localized casting. Like I wouldn't necessarily cast for our international parks, but I do occasionally. Okay. So have I cast for Paris? Have I cast French language actors for Paris? Yes, I have. Have I cast Chinese speaking actors for Shanghai? Yes, I have. Have I cast Japanese speaking actors for Japan? Maybe, probably not. But I do occasionally do that kind of stuff. So I have my finger in the various pies around the world, but primarily it's English and Spanish. When we're doing safety spills, I do a lot of the Spanish language casting. So it's an opportunity. I don't cast Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Goofy, or any of those characters. So I don't cast the existing Disney characters, right, or Pixar. And I technically don't cast Marvel or Lucas in the sense of who is established. Like we would work with the established voice of C-3PO or whoever, or Thor. So those are like established by those franchises. They will tell me who they want to work with. But within that, there is some opportunity for people who are, this is something I try to encourage actors, is become a sound-alike for somebody. Especially these well-known actors who maybe are not quite interested in doing voiceover all the time. You like your Marvel characters, a lot of the new films that we're doing with Lucas. Those actors are not always available or interested. So it's a good idea if you're serious that you want to add your repertoire. If you happen to sound like somebody, like Chris Pratt's a great example.
Oh man, they got my name wrong. It's not Peter Quill. It's Star-Lord. Although they do call me the leader.
Yes, because you led us into this trap.
Man, I thought the tour sounded funny.
Chris Pratt does not have like a unique voice other than just like all of us have a unique voice, but it's not a voice that's like, that's really easily imitated. So for someone to come across and be able to do a great Chris Pratt, that's like, wow, that's a good skill set.
Yeah.
I don't know if actors think about sound-alikes and voice matching.
I think that a lot of like ADR actors, people who do film and ADR, they're constantly voice matching.
Other people are like just naturally gifted that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think you never know. It's like if I was an actor today, I would try to pay attention when I'm seeing particularly these superhero films to say, I sound a lot like whoever. I could probably do that voice.
That's great.
I think it's a great little thing to put into your arsenal of stuff that you can do.
That's a great suggestion.
Yeah, because one thing that I do feel sort of strongly about is demos. Demos don't really work for me, to tell you the truth, because everything I cast is so specifically whatever that is. If I'm doing something for an attraction, the character description will be unique to that attraction. So it's really not likely that anything on your demo reel is going to be similar to what it is
Makes sense.
I'm looking for.
Mhm.
So demo reels used to play, and you see I have that, you can take a picture of that later, but there's my stack of what's left of my demo reels. I used to have, hundreds and hundreds of demo reels. I don't even, actually, now I'm looking at, there are no demo reels in there. I've dumped all the demo reels because everything is online anyway.
Yeah.
The best thing an actor can give to me is a business card. Because a business card will have their website, and their website should have all that information on it. And if I ever want it, I know where to find it. And also, I just find that they don't necessarily trigger anything for me.
Right. That makes sense.
I'd rather just audition you for something and see if that works, rather than kind of going off your demo and saying, "Oh, Paula Tiso, well, her demo means that she'd be great as a bunch of stuff." So I've never been great about referring to demos. And the other thing is, demos, as you know, are professionally, or should be, professionally done. And sometimes that is not necessarily a reflection of what you can do when someone hands you a piece of copy.
So true. Not a good idea.
Yeah, so you raise someone's expectations and then you just learned how to, I don't know, read copy the other day. So it's better to, I was almost going to say you learned how to read the other day, and that does happen. I do get this a lot. How often should I get in contact with you once I've connected with you? And it's kind of like, use common sense. How often would you want to be called by somebody you don't know? When I give actors my email address, that means it's okay to email me. And it's very interesting how few do.
Wow.
Or if they do, how few keep up with it. So after, 25 years of doing this particular job, I could count on the fingers of one hand people who've really kept up all that time. Now, I'm just I appreciate you think that people want to do this all the time, but in the scheme of things, you'll never make a living off of me. Because how many times am I going to work, on a theme park attraction, right?
Yeah.
Basically, it's there and it'll be there until we take it out. So I'm not the place to go if you want to make a living at this. I'm a place to go if you think it would be really cool to be in a Disney theme park attraction, which is very cool. You will never have a bigger audience. You will never have that many people hear you as you will on a Disney theme park attraction. Can't happen. Because of the amount of times that it's heard in the day and the amount of days it's heard in the year, and then you kind of extrapolate from that how many years it's in the park.
Yeah.
And it's astounding how many people hear your voice in a Disney theme park. So it's sort of like, I wouldn't go into it saying, this is the place to earn lots of money. This is the place to get lots and lots of exposure. And people do recognize the voices. We don't advertise it. We don't really say who the voice of the monorail is, although I just did. Or that, we don't really make that into a public thing, but people are so much more interested these days in finding out. When I look on you, because I get all my information off of YouTube. So it's funny to me when they try to guess who somebody might be. I never, ever really talk about it in a public way. The only time I really talk about voices in the parks is when we've done the panels at D23.
Yeah.
Which has only been, I think we've done 3.
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Let's say you're listening to recorded auditions. Is there anything that stands out to you, aside from meeting the specs, is there anything that stands out to you that gets your attention when you're listening to recorded auditions?
Oh, 100%. The one thing I really appreciate, and I shouldn't say this, but I love it when they take a little bit of liberty with the copy. Only because it means that they're bringing some of their own personal life to it. Because a lot of the copy that I send out is, and mind you, you have to kind of read the room, right? If I'm sending out a copy, it says, please keep your arms, legs, hands, and feet inside the ride vehicle and supervise your children. I don't really want you to go all out on a tangent, I just mean within reason that you can take the same copy and not necessarily reword it, but just kind of rethink it. Because if you're getting 50 or 100 pieces of auditions for a piece of copy, 90% of them are going to do the same thing over and over again. And unless you're so brilliant, it's hard to stand out.
Yeah.
So really the only way you can stand out is to at least tweak it a little bit to give it a little bit of your personality versus trying to be so diligent and read the copy exactly as it's written. Because once you start listening to it for a while, it actually becomes a little bit boring. And so someone kind of joggles you for a second. And it may not necessarily be the right way to go, by the way, because you're taking it. If you change the copy, you are taking a chance that whoever is listening to it is might be the person who wrote it.
Right.
They may not like that. I'm just saying from my perspective, one project in particular, the producer wanted to listen to it. I won't tell you which one, but the producer wanted to listen to everybody. But mostly, I will listen to it and I will whittle it down to like 10 to 20. And I'll send that to the producer. And the things that I do, I will say this, if you make a mistake, don't send me that. Send me the non-mistake one. Yeah, I've had that. It's so odd. It's just like, you do this at home. Just correct it and send that. Don't send me the one with the mistake. Also, if you're reading words, it helps to learn how to pronounce them. So pronunciation is a big deal, especially if it's not it's not, like for instance, if we're doing something for Star Wars or Marvel or any of these that have established pronunciation, it behooves you to go to the film and learn it. We don't necessarily send it to you, but you should try to learn it because it shows.
Absolutely.
It just shows that you care, if nothing else. But yeah, I think it's a good idea to add a little bit of your own personality to copy when it's appropriate, and if it makes it better. Don't do it if it makes it worse, please.
So we're talking that you need critical thinking skills as well as talent.
You definitely need to think. Oh, the other one that drives me nuts, by the way, speaking of which, is a bad recording. Don't make it sound like you're coming from the other room, or that you record it really, really low, so I have to turn it up really high to hear you, or there's some kind of weird noise on it. It's like, don't do that. Buy yourself a decent mic, find a room where there's, jet's not going to go over, and record it. And if a jet goes over, then re-record the darn thing, Don't send me something that's technically sketchy.
Totally.
I don't understand why people do that. I started Imagineering in 1995.
Okay.
But I actually started with Disney in 1989. So this is my 30th year at the Disney company. They can't get rid of me.
They love you. Are you kidding me?
They love me. Yes, the passion. But the job as far as being a casting director for Disney, so when I first started, I was just I was like a regular old assistant. They used to have assistants back there. Now they have project coordinators. We don't have assistants anymore. But anyway, I was an assistant to somebody, and he took over the casting. The lady who had done casting for a number of years had left, and they needed somebody, and so my boss took it over, and then he didn't really want to do it, so he gave it to me. So that was it. There was absolutely no qualifications apparently involved with this. It so happened that my background is that I'm a wannabe actor from way back, and also interest in voiceover. So I did the same thing that all actors do. I took a bunch of classes. I went to a voiceover dude, and in 1979 I got hired to be a radio DJ at a radio station in Walla Walla, Washington.
Well, that's easy for you to say.
I know, that's easy for you to say, where the state penitentiary is, by the way. So you got a built-in audience, because but that didn't work out for me, and I came back to LA pretty quickly, and I thought I wanted to be an actor, but I was afraid to try to be on camera, so I thought I'd do radio, and then and for various reasons that didn't work out, but I was a terrible actor because I was not a terrible actor, I was a terrible auditioner. Because and it's funny because I do this now, but I took every audition personally. It was a personal affront, not an affront, it was a personal take on me as a person. I couldn't stand the rejection. So I did it for a few years, but I just didn't have that kind of backbone to really not care what somebody said, because as an actor, the thing that really impresses me about actors is they're able to take years and years and years, if they stick with it. You know, you probably have found yourself auditioning for people who don't really have any experience in making any choices, but they still make the choices and reject you. So you're being rejected by some person who really has no qualifications to say yes or no. So that became a thing. I just decided I had to get out of that. So I ended up going into home entertainment, because who doesn't, right? There's my clock. So that one will go off, and then that one will go off in about a second.
It's 10 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock? I was early.
And this is actually very Disney. Did I ever tell you what this is? The guy conducting is George Wallace. He is the composer for Lady and the Tramp in 1955, or whatever year that came out. And they were recording at this session, We Are Siamese, If You Please.
You are kidding, and you found this at a thrift shop?
I found a thrift shop, and how I found out what the photo was I went to Google Photos. You know, you can like send a copy of the photo, and they'll look it up and figure out what it is. And when you think about it, there's the photo. There's actually a big gong in the back.
Okay, yeah.
So they propped it a little bit. But I was going like, they were playing all kinds of weird instruments, and I wondered what that could be.
That is so great. What a great eye you had.
It came out of nowhere.
And you knew that it was something interesting.
Well, I knew that I loved the picture, but I didn't know what it was. The people who were fun to work with, like Jim Cummings,
Yes.
doing the voice
Hello, my friends. I am Hondo Onaka, and this is Onaka Transport Solutions. Today,
like when we redid Star Trek, that's when we had to cast all new characters for the queue line. That was a lot of fun. And that I felt I had some personal investment in it from a creative standpoint.
TK421.
Welcome aboard the Disneyland Railroad.
Your safety intergalactic regulations.
Remember to stay seated with your seatbelt fastened. Keep your hands, arms, legs, and feet inside the car.
Watch your children.
Somebody asked me, how many women are doing safety spills? And I said, well, you know, we have a number, but the largest percentage of safety is still men. Thelma and Louise, Gina
Davis.
Because she made this point. She said, in every single movie, every single TV show, 14% of who's on camera will be women, and that's it. And you go like, oh, come on, that's not true. And then you kind of look at it, and you go, and so I raised my hand. And I said, well, that's not true at Disney. And she was absolutely right. I mean, it was even less than that. They've been really making effort to get more female voices into the park.
Oh, that's great.
So that we have more of a representation of the planet. Versus like, because, you know, like I said, when I said to you earlier, remember I said the voices I remember growing up, Thurl Ravenscroft, Jack Wagner, Paul Frees, you know, it's men, because that was the primary voice. You're in anything was going to be a man's voice. So as far as diversity is concerned, it's still a work in progress. And then the whole idea about when you are talking about voiceover and diversity, since you don't see the actor, then you go, okay, so what tells you that this actor is from here, unless they have an accent, and then so I think that we're doing a better job of it.
Great.
Trying to be more inclusive in the parks. In Pirates of the Caribbean, and saying, okay, this is inappropriate. We can't have an attraction in which we're auctioning off a bunch of women. It's like, because a bunch of women are in the boats going by. So what does that say to the little, you know, how do you explain that to your little 6-year-old girl? Oh, that was back in pirate days, so it was okay. It's like, well, so I think that they have a really interesting time here at this company, trying to bring more inclusion into these parks when we have a lot of attractions that are so, like, almost like so completely tied to the eras in which they were created.
So you've been given an elephant and you can't sell or give it away. What would you do with the elephant?
I would keep, well, no, what I would do if I can't give it away? Yeah, that's what I do. The elephant and I would go on a road trip. Actually, there's a elephant rescue, I think, in Tennessee, believe it or not. So what I do is me and the elephant would go on a road trip, and we'd wander over to Tennessee. I don't know how we'd get there, but we'd make it. And then I'd say, hey, look, there's elephants here. Maybe you want to say hello. then I'd quick get in the car and drive away. No, I'd stay with it.